3D printing isn't going anywhere. They actually just did a 3D print of a human ear and used it in a real transplant. So I think that more and more companies and even side hobbyists are going to start making and selling 3D parts. There are already tons of files out there that you can download yourself and print if you have your own 3D printer or know someone else who does. Obviously, we need to know if they're gonna be any good or not, which is kind of what this video is gonna be about. And we're gonna find out how strong these parts are in the most entertaining way. Well, hopefully. A lot of that's gonna depend on the type of material they use. For example, these 3D printed wing mounts for my Creighton are very, very flexible, which is a good thing for a wing mount. The easier it is to flex, usually the harder it is to break. But what if you need a part that's a little more rigid? For example, right now I have 4 of these wheels that are blown out in the middle. They blew off the car and the wheel nut stayed on the axle. So in this video, we're gonna replace only the core of each wheel. These were masterfully printed by Dan of Derby. Nope, that's me. I'm not Dan. I'm not Dan. These were beautifully printed and graciously sent to me by Dan over at Van City RC. I highly recommend you check out his channel. And we are gonna test these out today, Derby City style, which basically means we're gonna use a big ramp and probably a lot of concrete landing. Not to mention, this thing actually has a 4,000 kV motor in it. That's a whole lot of power for this lightweight car. So there is gonna be a whole lot of twisting force on these parts. These are gonna be completely held in by super glue, so we're really gonna be testing the super glue too. Subscribe if you love RC cars. Now to start, this car has a broken chassis that we broke a few months ago, and since then it's also been a donor car for that one, which is also broken again. So I'm gonna put all these parts on off camera, replace the chassis off camera because I have a lot of videos on this car already. Broken chassis, new chassis. Yes, I decided to put a bumper on the rear of this car to help protect the control arms. And next we're going to take this wheel apart. We've got to cut this piece off, just tidy it up a little bit. And then this adapter will slide right in. We just have to glue it in place. So for the front 2 wheels, I'm gonna use super glue. And for the rear wheels, I'm gonna use a 2-part epoxy. That way we can see which one holds up better. And I'm also gonna wire brush it a little bit to help make the adhesives bond better. Basically just giving the adhesive a rougher surface to grab onto. 3D printed parts typically already have a little bit of a rough surface, so we should be good there. That's nice and set up now. A little 2-part epoxy for the other 2 wheels, and we're going to use the epoxy for 1 spare. All right, she's ready to tear it up. Spoiler alert, we do end up breaking wheels left and right on this thing for the first run. But then we made a few improvements, and we will find out in this video if those hold up better. Uh-oh. Okay, so that didn't break. Epoxy is not the way to go. Oh, gee. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yep, epoxy doesn't work.
That thing's so fast.
Oh yeah, awesome front flip, dude. Oh, oh no. Oh, I lost another one. No. Just a loose wheel nut on this one. Oh yeah! That Max 10 whips this little thing around like crazy. Oh! Oh my gosh. So we've learned 2 things so far. For one, epoxy does not work as well as super glue, at least with this plastic. And the second thing we learned is that the walls in here are just way too thin. You can see it's kind of squishy and flimsy. With the epoxied ones like this one, what happened was the epoxy just came loose. Hey, maybe I didn't let it set long enough, but it just spun inside the wheel, and eventually the wheel was able to just slide right off, because like I said, they're just held in with the adhesive, nothing else. The two that we super glued actually broke because the super glue did not give up. This barrel stayed glued to the rest of the wheel, but this hub piece broke off. I can't find it right now, but a couple of them, the actual center blew out just like the original wheels. So Dan was gracious enough to send us some upgraded 3D pieces. They have a much thicker hub section. This one is much thicker in all of those weak spots of the original. So we're gonna try again, and hopefully these beefier plastic pieces will hold up. Since the super glue was really strong, I couldn't get the old parts out, so I had to drill them out so that we could fit the new ones. I super glued them in the same way as I did before. I'll put a link to that glue in the description. The ESC also came loose, and since this stuff seems to work so well, I'm gonna try super gluing this piece of dense foam in between the chassis and the ESC. The foam will help cushion some landings, and hopefully the super glue will hold it all together. Had to use wheel nuts that you normally would use with extended hexes, because since this hub is so much thicker to provide extra strength, the axle doesn't go all the way through it, so you have to use extended wheel nuts to reach through and thread onto the axle. Keep in mind, this isn't an ad for a specific product or anything, so you won't have to use those nuts. This is really just to test the strength of a well-made 3D printed product. I don't remember what battery I used last time, because that run you just watched was actually from like 3 months ago, but it might have been this one. This is the one I'm going to use. It's a Gens Ace bashing battery, 2200 milliamps. With a 35C discharge rating. Since this Hobby Wing kit I have in here already has an XT60, that's the main reason I'm using this. If I can find these, I'll put a link in the description, because these batteries are awesome, and they fit in this tray, and they even fit in the tray of some of the 12th scale HBX vehicles.
1, 2, 3, woo!
Oh no! Oh, just a lost wheel nut, that's it. Oh. Nice, that was a front flip 180. Not on purpose though. Oh. Lost my wheel again. Same thing, nothing broke, just the wheel nut came loose. Axle pin stayed here. And after that last wheel loss, the battery was dead. We did get a good 20 minutes out of it though. And these wheel nuts, you really should Loctite them in. That's why mine fell out a few times, because I did not. But again, that doesn't really matter, because we're just having fun with this video and testing these 3D products. So during that first run where the wheels were breaking almost with every single jump, as each wheel fell off or broke or just came apart, we put stock wheels back on until all 4 of the wheels and the spare wheel broke. Since I have 3 or 4 cars on this exact platform, I have quite a few spares. And I'm pretty sure I even have one of these that is brushless straight out of the box coming our way. These new parts held up just fine inside the wheel. There's again what they look like, and here's the difference between these new parts and the stock wheel. You can see how much further in that hub is, and just how thin the wall that the nut screws to is. While in this one, that wall is much thicker, but the hub comes out further, and that's why we needed the extended wheel nuts. Be sure to check out Dan's channel, because he's got a lot of fun and informative stuff stuff over there. And then just to talk about this car a little bit, because this car is a ton of fun. It's super durable. I didn't have to replace anything after either of those runs. That's 2 full battery packs. That's 4,000 kVs of motor at probably 40 to 45 miles an hour and hitting a 2-foot tall ramp at full speed. Now don't get me wrong, I do break parts on these cars almost every time I use them. Like the chassis, for example, that you saw was broken in the beginning of the video. Cracked in half after a whole lot of abuse, and it was also on a freezing cold day. Slamming into concrete definitely doesn't mix well with really cold plastic. It just makes it brittle. So because I do believe in this car and I really like it and it's a great platform to upgrade, I'm going to put a link to it in the description as well. It's not my favorite platform to upgrade. In fact, this one and this one are my favorite platforms to upgrade, which I did another hobby wing upgrade in this one, which I absolutely love. And this one, which is pretty much the exact same car as this one, is about to get a budget brushless conversion. I'll also put a link to these shocks because these are some really good oil-filled, actually they're almost like gel-filled shocks that work really well on 12th scale vehicles. They even work on all the vehicles that some manufacturers claim are 10th scales but are actually 12th scales. And there's a lot of them. Including this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and probably this one. Because you can't just put 10th scale size tires on it and call it a 10th scale car. Well, actually, I guess you can because they do it. The shoe goo and drywall tape on this body is still performing excellent. There is not a single crack. I do also have a video on how I did that. Now, projects like this one are a lot of fun for me, finding ways to improve a bad design or further improve a good design. This car, the one that was just hanging there that I was just talking about, is one of my favorite cars. I've got a hobby wing in this one as well, and it is an absolute animal. It's a super durable truck. It is more durable than that one. Even with these ultra-sized tires on it, it just holds up so well. One of the biggest problems that it does have, though, is that this bumper and this flimsy plastic actually have the mount that holds the control arm hinge pins in place. So another fan of the channel actually sent us a bunch of 3D parts that he made to help us with that, including a fully custom chassis brace and some extra bumper protectors and a few other cool things. So that's going to be in another video coming up. And all of these same parts here will fit this car as well. They're the exact same chassis, but out of the box there are a few minor differences between these two. Well, I've done a whole lot of talking in this video. I hope you guys don't mind. Hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.